All right, are you confused about grow out pens for quail and you're just wondering how big do they need to be, how they need to be constructed? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, clear all that up for you, so stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Redneck video. Again, my name is Chris, and today we're going to talk about grow out pens. I had a viewer by the name of Captain Jack, who's commented before on my videos, who asked me specifically to discuss grow out pens for quail in another video. You hear that thrown around in the quail groups and rabbit groups, you hear that thrown around in videos all the time. People talk about, I'm moving them out to a grow out pen, but exactly what is a grow out pen? The answer is actually pretty simple. The grow out pen for me is just basically an empty cage. And it's not really much more complicated than that. If I have a hutch like this, right now I'm keeping my breeders in there, but if this were an empty cage, this would become a grow out pen for me. And it's just a spot for me to throw all of my quail into and let them grow out until they're ready to either butcher and go to the freezer, if I'm going to integrate them into my breeding program, whatever I'm going to do with them at that point, that's all it is. It's just a cage to hold your quail in until they get to that size where you can introduce them to the rest of the group. That's typically going to be at the age of about 6 to 8 weeks old. Now, with an adult quail, we go about 1 square foot per bird is about the acceptable. And you can get a little bit more crowded than that. I don't want to say crowded, but you can go, you know, like this is a, oh, I don't remember how big it is, but let's make it math simple. Let's say a 4 foot square cage, 1 square foot per bird, you could get 4 birds in there. But you could probably get away with 5 or maybe even 6 birds in there if there's no fighting. It's not going to be overcrowded. Now, that's with normal adult permanent living conditions for a bird. Now with young birds though, they're much smaller, and if you've had them come out of the incubator, go into the brooder together, they're probably not going to be fighting with each other much, and you can get them much more densely packed than that and be just fine with it up until that time of about 6 to 8 weeks old. You probably can get away with somewhere around 3 birds per square feet, and you're going to be okay with that as long as that's a temporary condition and that's not your permanent living condition. So hopefully that kind of clears things up. So basically when it comes down to it, just to make it simple for you, just figure out how many birds that you want to raise, how many birds you plan on moving out into grow out pens at one time. Me, it's anywhere from 30 to 40 birds, something like that, and I can get 40 birds in about a 20 square foot grow out pen, or a couple of separate pens that come out to about that same amount. So this cage right here, I think it's 6 foot by 3 feet, so that's about 18 square feet. I could do just about 40 birds in this pen if I wanted to, and I'm just growing them out to about 6 to 8 weeks old. Now if you plan on going longer than that, you need more cage space and you need to give them a little bit more room. Watch your birds closely. If they start fighting, if they start picking on each other, they're overcrowded, you need to separate them out. Let me go through some specifics and show you kind of what I'm doing with my grow out pens right now. All right, these are my stacking cages, and I've got a set of these in the garage right now, but these are all 2 foot by 2 foot, so they're 4 foot square cages, and I can usually fit, once the birds, I leave them in the brooder box until they're about 2 to almost 3 weeks old, then I move them into these cages in the garage right now, and the only reason I'm doing it in the garage is because I don't have any extra outdoor pens that are enclosed and blocked from the wind and ready to go, so I'm growing them out in these smaller pens in the garage right now. But I can fit about 20 birds in each one of those cages. This stack's 3 tall, so I can get about 60 birds in these pens if I want to. Now by the time that they start getting to about 4.5 to 5 weeks of age, I need to split that in half, so I need somewhere around I need double the cage space for those birds, but then they can live in those up until they're about 8 weeks old, and then they either go to the outdoor pens, the outdoor hutches over here, and mix in with my breeders, or they go into the freezer at that point. I like these outdoor hutches for that, and really even in the wintertime, when your birds get to about 3 weeks of age and they're fully feathered out, they can go right into these outdoor hutches just like this. That's the ideal. I just need to build another one before I can move to that here in my backyard. So hopefully that clears some things up for you, and hopefully that puts you a little bit at ease on that. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment below. Let me know if you have some other thoughts on grow out pens, or if there's something that you're doing that's working well for you. And as always, God bless.